On beautiful and interesting chords for guitar. So here we go. So the two chords of the day are D major 7, or variations of it, D major 9 and a few others I'm going to show you, and then F sharp minor 7, and of course a few other variations. So we're just going to explore those two chords, and we're going to figure out how to make those sound really cool in your guitar playing. All right, here we go. So first, make sure your guitar's in tune, and then also tune to drop D, okay? So you want your 3 low strings just to have a deep sound, so that when you hit your D chord, you can get the deepest sound the guitar makes, the lowest note. It's your drop D. Okay, so since that's tuned down so low, you know we can chug away on that open D. Okay, but for now I'm just going to use a clean sound, and let's get started. So first chord, D major 9. Notice it says played on the 3rd fret, okay? So don't start on the 1st fret, start on the 3rd fret, okay? You're going to need every single one of your 4 fingers to play this chord. Okay, so you have your low D, you have an octave, so octave D, so you have a nice wide space between the lowest notes there. Major 3rd, major 7th, and then the root note. So the major 7th and the root note are right next to each other. You get a nice grind there out of that half step, so there's your dissonance. And then there's also open E. So you have C sharp, D, and E all in the same chord. Okay, so there's a lot of dissonance there. Okay, explore that chord with some picking. There's our first chord. Okay, let's keep going. All right, second chord, F sharp minor. Okay, we're going to throw in a flat 9 just to make it extra menacing sounding, okay? So we got our low F sharp, skip a string, then another F sharp. Okay, so we have an octave again in the bass. Don't play that open A, because that'll make it really muddy. Okay, so big distance between the lowest notes there, a whole octave. Open G string is your flat 9. So you get your grind right there. C sharp, 5th of the chord, and then open E, flat 7. Okay. Let's just practice those two chords so far. All right, let's add some drums. Try with a different sound. A little bit of phaser going. Wow, that one's really squashed, isn't it? Let's try it with a heavy dose of echo. trying more sounds. Okay, let's keep exploring more variations of these chords. Okay, so as I'm playing that F sharp minor with the flat 9, what I'm doing there is I'm taking my finger and I'm flattening it out so I can change the top note. Okay, and so you'll discover that in a lot of these different chord variations, you play a chord and you just simply change the highest note. By changing the highest note, it changes the character of the chord. So it's basically the same note, but with a different note at the top. Okay, so let's keep going. So here's another variation of D major 7. I'm playing it like a bar chord. Okay, so it's a bar on the 5th fret. Okay, take a look at the next chord. See, it's the same chord, except I did that thing where I lift up the bar so you can get the open E to ring. We're just changing the top note of the chord. It makes it sound a lot different. Okay, let's keep practicing. So then the next variation of F sharp minor is going to be a 4th fret bar. Now you don't necessarily need to squeeze all the strings, just the 3 biggest strings. That gives you your power chord. Okay, and then you have up 3 other fingers there to set up. And there's your chord. Okay, let's just practice, you know, the last 2 chords that we studied. So let's work on this D major 9. You can bar it or you can not bar it. The fingers are the same either way. And then we have this bar on the 4th fret. Okay, so what does that sound like if we put it all together? So it sounds like this. Okay, now what if I want to strum it? I could do that easily. Just go. Okay, let's keep going. So you'll notice that what I'm going to do next is I'm going to change the top note again. I'm going to change the top note of that last chord. The top note used to be played with the middle finger, and I'm just simply taking that note away and revealing the bar that's behind it. So now I have some movement on the top. Okay, look at those 2 chords again. So this chord has an A at the top, and this chord has a G sharp at the top. So we have some movement going on. Like that. Okay, let's change the top note again. And now we'll squish the pinky flat and cover 2 strings in a row. And so we've changed the top note yet again. Okay, so that move sounds like this. Okay, let's go up high with the D major 7. Oops, there's a mistake on the chord chart there. It says 5th fret. Okay, it's actually 7th fret. Oops, sorry about that. So 7th fret. Skip over the A string if you want to, or it actually is part of the chord, but I think you're noticing that the more space you have between the notes in the bass, the more clear it sounds. So I'm actually going to skip over the A string. And so I have a huge space between the bass and the next note. All right, so we have this bar. And then at the top, you have the 9th fret, okay? If I strum it, I could just strum all the strings, and that sounds okay too. All right, so one of the themes of this video is changing the top note, right? So what if I go, just throw that pinky in there. Okay, now how does it sound in context with the music? So chords left. Let's keep going. Here's yet again another D major 7. So again, I'm starting with the low D and skipping the A string, although you could play the A if you want. Okay, then we're going 9, 10, 11, 12, all in a row. It makes a diagonal line right across the fretboard. What a nice chord. Okay, we're going to combine that chord with this one. Since I'm up high in the 9th fret, I might as well stay there and play another chord in the same area. So I'm also on the 9th fret again. This time I'm playing a power chord and another power chord, double power chord. That makes it, that's called a 9th, okay? You're still going to need one more finger to throw this extra note in here. So you're going to need every finger. And you have that open E at the top. Remember, one of the things that you can always do is play open E, then close off this bar, then you fretted the 9th fret there. Okay, so let's do these two chords that we just worked on. We have this diagonal shaped chord, and we have this chord. Okay, how does that sound? Watch this move. So I'll play the chord, and then I'll change the top note. So I can lift up my finger and sound the open E. Then I can put it right back on again. Okay, there we go. And so that's the final chord. All right, we went through all those different chords. All right, so let's practice. So I've got my head rush looper board set up here. And so let's get a rhythm going. 1, 2, 3, 4. we play over the top of it? Well, what key are we in? Are we in the key of D? Well, you could do a D major scale. Are we in the key of F sharp minor? You could do an F sharp minor scale. Okay, so I think this is kind of a modal song. It's modal. So we're actually in the key of A or F sharp minor. All right, so F sharp minor. Let's get a lead sound going here. Okay, so my approach to soloing, I have a lot of different approaches to soloing, but one of my easiest approaches that I show students to, succeed right away is just do one octave. Okay, forget learning modes and scales and the entire fretboard, and sometimes you see charts that have all the frets and there's all these dots and it's so overwhelming. Skip that. Just play one octave. Except when you get to the last note, slide up. Like this. Okay, now just play that same finger pattern again. It's the same finger pattern you just played. You don't have to learn anything new. And of course, if you slide up at the last note, like this, you can continue the pattern, well, until you run out of strings. Okay, so that whole thing sounds like... Okay, so that would make a great place to start. So start with that easy scale. You can do it. Okay, so another thought is you can also practice arpeggios, or you could do some sweep picking or whatever. So okay, so you could play all along one string. Always explore one string because that's your most lyrical, your most vocal-like lines. They come from playing on one string. So try to get good at figuring out, how can I solo on just one string? Okay, now how would this sound if we, rocked it and chugged away at the chords? Okay, so some of these chords have some real dissonances. So if you add a lot of distortion, you're going to get a lot of, dissonance. So what I would recommend is, maybe start with your open D power chord. And then play your 4th fret bar. Okay, and then in between chugging away on the chord, throw in the higher notes in between. Like, you hit the low strings, hit the high notes. Go back to chugging again. Go back to the high notes. Go back to the low. Go back to the high. So separate between the sounds. So I'm not just hitting all 6 strings, because that gives you kind of a mess. So what you do is you just very clearly play the bass notes. Those stop. Then you play only the high notes. No bass. Just highs only. I might squeeze the power chord, and then I might let it go. And then I might push it back down again. And then I might let it go. So I'm not ringing the bass and the highs at the same time. So let's get our loop going again. Okay, let's do some diamonds. Diamonds are where you play it. Okay, try every technique you know. Maybe you could do some volume swells. Okay, try to avoid, pentatonic pattern number 1. Doesn't fit with the dissonance. Okay, it's been played too many times, so play something else. Let's try this one. So let's try this pattern. Okay, so I'm gonna play 4th fret on the A string and 5th fret, and then on the next string I'm going to play the 4th fret and the 7th fret. So I've got a pattern going. You can hammer it. Okay, once you get that pattern, you just play it again. An octave higher, right? So same fingers, same pattern. 6th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the B string, 10th fret on the B string, same pattern. You could keep it going. Oops, we're out of strings, right? So that's as far as we could go. But if you put that together, you have... You can even slide up to an F sharp if you want. Whenever the notes are 1 fret apart, it's a perfect opportunity for a bend. Okay, let's practice that. Okay, I'll put a link to a jam track down in the description, and so you can download it and practice along. I hope that you found some value in all of these different chords. I'll put in the description how to play the chords also. And hit the like, hit subscribe, and look forward to seeing you again in the next beautiful and interesting chord video. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye-bye.